Hello, hello, hello. How you doing? David Fisher here, also known as D Fish, and we're coming back at you with another Sales Sherpa tool, specifically for the financial services industry. But today, it's a tool that no matter what kind of selling you're doing, no matter what kind of service you're providing for your clients, this is a tool that can help you. So I'm really excited to be able to share this with you. And what we're going to be talking about today is a tool that I call the next step or the next question. And there's both some practical, tactical pieces to this, but also it's a reconfiguring of how we've thought about sales and how we've thought about closing from where it used to be. And by the way, thank you to everybody who's joining me live, but I know that a lot of people are checking these out afterwards on our YouTube channel. We are recording, we're capturing all of our sessions on the LinkedIn Live platform here and putting them on our YouTube channel. Not only from this series about financial services, last month we talked about small business selling. We've got a whole host of different sessions and episodes there. I'll actually throw the link to our YouTube channel down below, youtube.com/user/DavidJPFisher. Take a look at those. There's so much great material that we've put out the last, especially, I mean, we've been putting stuff out for years, but especially the last 7 months or so with the pandemic, we've been putting out a lot of content to help people become more effective in their networking and sales conversations. So definitely check that out. And let us, at that point, then move along and talk about this idea of the next question. And let me kind of map this out strategically for you first. What we're doing with this idea of the next question, or I said the next step, is instead of thinking about sales as a single point transaction, we're really looking at it as an ongoing conversation, as a relationship that develops over time. Now, this is a little different if you think about kind of traditional sales strategy. Often thinks about the idea of closing. We have this conversation which is as short as possible, and then we just close, right? If you think about even that idea of asking for the business being called closing, it's the idea of, hey, we close the door, we're done, we can move on and try to go to the next prospect. Now, why I feel that this is something we need to change is because the sales processes are evolving in many industries, and it definitely in service-oriented industries, definitely in financial services, to be one where we're really looking at not a linear process, but what I call in hyper-connected selling, a sales matrix, where we're really managing not only the conversation with our main or primary prospect, but we're also managing all of the information that they're getting. There might be other stakeholders involved. It could be, even if it's just a married couple, both spouses. If it's a family, it could be, the parents, adult children. There's a lot of different actors involved. Plus, they all have easy access to information from their phones. They can hop on social media, they can text people. There's a lot more here to manage. So we have to understand that as we're going through the sales process, one is it's going to take probably a little longer, but two, there's going to be a lot of different sources of information and influence that we have to manage. So that's why I think we have to think about sales as far as this idea of a matrix, where there's a lot of different influences. We still need to move it forward, however, but it's not going to be in this simple linear path. And that's where I think this idea of the next question comes in, because as I mentioned, there's this big matrix, but we do have to move people through it. And this is kind of there's the old sales adage, there's a difference between a paid salesperson and an unpaid consultant. It can be easy to just get stuck in conversations that don't lead anywhere with prospective clients or with people who don't even think that they are prospective clients. And so what we want to do is make sure that there are points within our engagement with a prospect where we are moving them to the next step. And this is where the next question comes in, where instead of thinking about closing as a one-time event that happens at the end, we actually look at asking for permission, asking for commitment to move through the sales process. Now, this can look different within different sales processes. It can look different depending on your personality, depending on how you're marketing your business, how you're bringing prospects in. But what you kind of want to think of is at each stage, is there a way for you to ask to move to that next step? So to use a dating analogy, you might meet somebody socially and go, wow, this is an interesting person. I'd like to have a date with them. You then say, hey, can I have your phone number or your Instagram handle, whatever. I don't know what the kids are doing these days. But you'd ask for that. Then you'd ask, hey, would you like to go on a date? Then you'd ask for a second one. Things keep going well. You just say, hey, this seems to be going well. Are we going steady? Or, again, whatever the term is the kids are using, but, are we going to commit to each other on that level? If things keep going well, you want to move in, you want to get married, you're always asking to ramp it up. You wouldn't go out on a first date and then say, hey, do you want to get married? So think about the different steps of your engagement with someone. So it might be, maybe you get a referral, right? So you get a referral to a new prospect. What's the first step? Well, you got to have some sort of conversation with them. Maybe right now, because we have so much in person, or I'm sorry, not in person, maybe the first step is reaching out and saying, hey, would you like to have a quick Zoom call with me? In different circumstances, it might be, would you like to have that first cup of coffee or a lunch? Would like to find out more about what your situation is, and I can share a little bit about how I help. But you're going to have that initial conversation. There might then be a point where you ask, hey, the next step is going to be having maybe a more in-depth discovery conversation where we look at some of the specific numbers. Let's say you're doing financial planning. You're saying, hey, I'm going to start looking at kind of what your numbers are, what your assets are now, and what your goals are. So asking to move to that step is an ask, and you actually want to have a specific way of asking. Could be as simple as, hey, I've really enjoyed getting to know you. It sounds like there might be some ways that I could be of service. Would love to explore that. If it would work well for you, what I'd like to do is, set up another meeting in a couple of weeks. And we can at that meeting dive into some of the goals you have, some of the things you're working on. Would love to see this, or this, if you want to get some background information from them. But then you're actually asking for that next meeting. Maybe it's you're just talking with one spouse and you're like, hey, that would be maybe a great time to bring your husband, your wife into the conversation. Great. So you're asking to move with it. But that's the thing. You're not just letting it happen or hoping. You're saying, could we do this? And then at that one, it could be, hey, based on everything we've talked about here, I think that I might be able to actually be able to help you with X, Y, and Z. Can I put together a proposal, right? And again, use whatever ask is relevant and works for you, but there has to be some sort of ask to get to that next. So you just always think at each stage, where do I want to go with this conversation? Okay, I want to be able to do the discovery. I want to be able then to do the proposal. Then it's, hey, would you like to work together? Then it's, if you're working together, referrals, right? So there is this segmentation of the sales process where it's not just all of your eggs in one basket. Hey, you want to work together. And I think that it's important to realize this for two reasons. One is, in the past, with a linear transactional sales process where buyers didn't have as easy access information as they do now in sales, and this is definitely in financial services, you kind of just assumed you were going to take them through. I remember 20 years ago having an life insurance salesman sit down with me. It was a friend of mine. He wanted to get some practice. Something I was a great prospect at the time, but the sales process was very assumptive, right? You were just assuming that, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. They're going to give this information. The only way they're going to get access to any of the information about the products we have is by going through it, so I can do that. Now we have to really realize that to be a sales Sherpa, to be a guide, we actually have to guide them from behind. And what I mean by that is the buyer is actually in charge of their sales process. You aren't. It is. They call it the buyer's journey these days. So it's not about, pulling people or making them do stuff. It's going, hey, we want to walk along this path together. Maybe even thinking about being a sales Sherpa as being next to them to guide, but it's not necessarily, again, pushing them through the process and making them go by your terms, but rather walking along with their terms. The other thing that I think has happened is that conversely, there is in the sales matrix there's so much going on, right? There are so many different influences that we can have on people and that people have on, or people are getting from outside of this conversation that you're having with them, that we can tend to be a little too amorphous in our conversations, right? So it is, again, your job to help them move forward, but it's not through the strong arming tactics and then this hard close. It's really looking at how do I take them to take the analogy a step further from base camp to base camp. We're here, how do we go here, then how do we go here, then how do we go here, and to continue to move them along their path. So that is the idea of the next question. I really encourage you to think about the rest of your conversations with prospects, with clients, really with anybody in your business sphere, and go, what is the point of this conversation? Like, where do I want to move us to based on that conversation? And am I going to ask for that at the end? No matter, again, whether it's a big ask or a small ask, have some ask to move forward afterwards. So thanks so much for spending time with me today. I really appreciate it. And we will, again, be coming back with episodes at noon Central, Monday through Thursday. Hope that you join us for some of the other ones. I know tomorrow in the next series session, we're talking to Joey Davenport about building trust and how to build trust in this new normal. We're going to look at some really cool social media stuff, the one after that, and then we're going to be into next week. So really great stuff. If you want to make sure you are being reminded of these, feel free to send me a quick note on LinkedIn here, and I'll make sure that you do get the reminders to see this live. And as I said, it's always available to you to check out on YouTube. So thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. Have a fantastic day. We'll see you next time.